Welcome to the HDC Tree Fruit Thinning DVD. This film has been produced to provide help and guidance for owners, managers, supervisors and workers. Successful fruit production requires fruit of the right size and the right quality. To achieve this, hand thinning is usually necessary. This DVD addresses both principles and practice in two sections. The first section is a refresher for owners and managers, especially newcomers, and deals with assessing the need to thin, the amount to thin, and how to best organise and manage the operation. The second section is aimed at supervisors and workers and covers specific requirements and techniques for plums, pears, and 3 apple types, short strig such as Cox, long strig such as Gala, and finally Bramley. The management of top fruit crop load. Successful tree fruit production involves keeping trees in balance with an optimum crop and sufficient growth. If there are too many fruits, the balance will suffer. Even if they make size, the tree will be weakened, the mineral balance may suffer, leading to poor storage. It is important to get the correct leaf-fruit ratio, otherwise the return bud for next year's crop will suffer. This tree received a light thin and is carrying too many fruits, hence size has suffered. This tree was heavily thinned and has too few fruits. It has grown too vigorously, and the larger fruits are unlikely to have the right mineral balance for long-term storage. These trees were correctly thinned and the trees are in good balance. Don't let one year's bumper crop spoil the following year. This can lead to biennial cropping, which is neither desirable nor profitable. Getting the thinning job right will save on picking, storage and packing. It is key to a profitable business. Management of crop load on trees starts with cropping history. Where an apple or pear orchard regularly sets a heavy crop, winter pruning should include detailed work to reduce excessive fruit bud. Chemical thinning can reduce set inexpensively. It can be risky as it must be done before final set is known. Hand thinning may still be needed, but will be quicker than otherwise. Likewise, the use of plant growth regulators can help stimulate cell division, leading to larger fruits. Refer to the HDC Apple Best Practice Guide and discuss options and strategies with your crop advisor. Mechanical thinning is an option where orchards have been designed and pruned for it. Tractor-mounted string thinners work, however they do need to be used at blossom time before final set is known. Orchards with a poor or variable history of fruit set are safer left until the frost risk has passed, an early runoff or June drop has occurred, so that the final set is known. This inevitably means any thinning will need to be carried out by hand. Chemical and mechanical thinning are non-selective. Hand thinning is the only way to ensure the correct fruitlets are left and misshapen, damaged or undersized fruits are removed. Also, hand thinning can remove fruits that are shaded, resulting in a crop with better colour. Getting thinning right saves picking, storage and packing costs. When to thin. The earlier thinning is carried out, the greater the size increase on the fruit left. Early thinning may reduce the extent of June drop, however you may be paying to remove fruits that will drop off naturally. Only early thin orchards with a regular heavy cropping history. Thin weaker overcropping orchards first, moving on to balanced orchards. Orchards that only require quality thinning should be left until last. There are exceptions. An orchard with high levels of scab may warrant early thinning to remove the source of infection. Ensure any diseased fruits are collected and removed from the orchard to prevent reinfection. Make sure you check the crop level throughout the orchard. Variability, such as slopes and soils, can result in significant crop variations. It is better for the trees, and easier for the thinning gang, if weaker trees at one end of a stronger orchard are thinned at the same time as other weak orchards. Estimate the time required per tree and calculate the number of man-hours per orchard. Work out the man-hours for the whole thinning operation and determine your finish date. Now you can calculate the size of thinning gang required and the level of supervision. Defining the thinning operation. To ensure all fruits make the required size at harvest, it is essential to know what the minimum size should be when thinning. For each orchard, measure and record fruitlet size at weekly intervals from fruit set onwards to build up a picture of growth rates. Refer to your own historical records or tables produced by your advisor. Ensure your supervisors have this information and are equipped with size gauges. For each orchard, decide how many fruits a typical tree should carry. You may also decide to thin to a minimum size. Discuss with your advisor and refer to last season's cropping and grade out records. Thin a few trees yourself to what you feel is the right level. Count the number of fruits left on each tree and adjust accordingly. This needs to be converted into clear written instructions for your supervisors, such as singles, doubles, number of fruits per 50 centimetres. This may vary depending on the wood type. For instance, this weak maiden wood might only support 5 singles per 50 centimetres, whilst this stronger wood can support doubles and up to, say, 8 apples per 50 centimetres. Ensure they are clear about any quality issues, such as misshapen and diseased fruits. Spend sufficient time in first orchard with your supervisors at least a day before the gang starts. It is essential that they fully understand and are absolutely clear about what is required. They should thin several trees that you can assess together. If possible, let them spend some hours thinning. This can also help you set a target number of trees per hour. Always make sure supervisors know about any anomalies, such as pollinators and younger gapped up trees. Supervisors should be trained in instructional techniques. Pay attention to systematically thinning the tree, branch by branch, and fully using both hands. Only first-class supervisors can give you first-class results. A good supervisor will teach each thinner, and once they're competent, will coach them to excellence. Make sure both you and your supervisors are clear and in agreement about their role. Refer to the HDC DVD Creating Champion Employees for guidance. Thinning can be paid hourly, on piecework, or a combination of the two. Quality must come first. A few pence saved per tree is no recompense for a poor job. It will take a few days for new thinners to reach a good commercial speed. Be patient. When monitoring the job with your supervisors, always relate to the agreed written instructions. Judge by what is left on the trees, not how much is on the ground. Pears. Pear thinning often requires a particular focus on quality thinning. Sometimes the quantity set may not be excessive, but a quality thin will pay dividends through increased fruit size and improved grade out. Supervisors need to understand what constitutes excessive russet, as well as branch rub and other blemishes, misshapes and undersized fruits. Straight pears often look large enough because they are long, but they do not reach minimum size. These are easier to remove when thinning is done later. As with apples, provide clear written instructions. Leaving 3s and 4s will result in small fruit even if the tree as a whole is not overloaded. Plums. Plum crops vary enormously as they flower early and are at greater risk of frost damage. When there is a heavy set, 80 to 90% of fruits may need removing. Failure to thin results in small unsaleable fruit and branches can break from weight of crop. Plums are very sensitive to weather between blossom and when the stone begins to develop. Hand thinning should commence as soon as the run is underway. As a guide, you should be able to shake a branch and have fruitlets fall off. If the initial set is very heavy, crop can be reduced by snapping off small, weak underneath branches. This can be a very cost-effective operation. With unskilled labour, ensure that workers fully understand the task and that it is closely supervised. Branches should be placed in the grass alley. Assess all of your orchards and plan an order of thinning based on weight of crop and tree vigour. The weakest trees will often have the heaviest set, and these need to be prioritised. Varieties that flower later, and those carrying a lighter or more variable crop, should be left until last. Guide to fruit thinning of apples, pears and plums. Welcome to this introduction to fruit thinning. In this guide, you will learn why we do this job and how to do it. What you will see here is only a guide. Always listen to and follow your supervisor's instructions. On your first day, you will be told where you need to go to join the gang you will be in. You should be informed about where you're working. If you do not understand any instructions, say so. Get someone to translate for you if necessary. When you arrive at the field, the supervisor will help you get started. Look and listen carefully as there is a lot to learn. Supervisors know a new thinner will not remember everything first time. Just do your best and always ask if you do not understand. Health and safety. Farms can be dangerous places. Your farm has a health and safety policy which you need to read. Keep well clear of tractors and machinery. Never assume the driver has seen you. Some vehicles, such as forklift trucks, move fast in every direction. The fruit that you are thinning will have been sprayed. Always wash your hands after thinning and before eating, drinking or smoking. Eating, drinking and smoking are only permitted at set break times. Always take all of your rubbish away with you. Do not leave litter anywhere on the farm. When working, wear loose, comfortable clothing. Always bring a sun hat and cover up to prevent sunburn. If you do use suntan lotion, always wash your hands. Reasons for thinning fruit. Fruit trees produce huge amounts of blossom each season. How much of it becomes fruit depends on the weather, but often it is too much. If all this fruit were left on the trees, it would be too small and could not be sold. For instance, our customers only want larger apples. Small fruit has little or no value. When these apples are ripe, they should be the size of tennis balls. Fruit thinning is a very important job. It must be done correctly and thoroughly. You will benefit from this when you come to pick the fruit later. As well as removing excessive fruits, you must remove diseased, damaged and misshapen fruits, such as these apples. Always take these off first before further reducing fruit numbers. Your supervisor will show you which to remove. All fruits that are too small must be removed. Your supervisor will show you the minimum size. It is important to use both hands fully for thinning to reach the required speed. You will need to concentrate on the work and make sure you don't get distracted. You may be working with a partner or by yourself. Make sure you work methodically. Where trees are individual, start at one point and work around the tree until you get to where you started. If with a partner, start together and work around until you meet up. Develop a system. Work from the top of each branch to the end of it, starting with highest branches, then lower ones before moving on or round. Don't forget the tops. If you can't reach, you'll need to use a stepladder. It helps to have a taller person in each pair. Always check the stepladder is placed safely. On slopes, place with the slope. Never use a stepladder placed across a slope. Don't take risks with ladders. When you finish a tree, always check over it to make sure you haven't missed any area. Your supervisor will check your work, and if you have missed any, you will be sent back. This wastes your time, and if you continually fail to do the job correctly, the supervisor may stop you from working. Many orchards have pollinators, which are different varieties and may be, for example, every sixth tree in every other row. Your supervisor should explain this and whether to leave these trees or not. If at any time you are not sure of anything, ask your supervisor. They are there to help you. Different types of fruit and different varieties have different requirements. We will look at 3 apple types first, then pears and finally plums. Long strig apples. These apples can be removed by flicking the fruit off the stem, like this, or by removing the stem as well, like this. Do not pull the apple, as this may remove the whole cluster. These varieties crop on both 1 year and older wood. On older, thicker shoots and branches thin to doubles, like this, and singles, like this. Your supervisor will guide you as to how many apples to aim for per 50 centimetres. Singles are better than doubles, as they will make bigger apples. Leave doubles only where you need to ensure enough fruits remain. You may be instructed that it is okay to leave 3 apples that are all big, fat 3s. They tend to be on thick branches like this. On weaker wood, especially branches hanging down like this, you need to thin to well-spaced singles, like this. Always remember to take off diseased, damaged and misshapen fruit first. These varieties should be the size of tennis balls when ripe, and the same applies to the next variety. These varieties need colour, which they get from the sunlight. Remove the underneath fruits first, as they will get less light. Short strig apples. Coxes need careful thinning, as often they have more misshapes and may not have so many apples in total. They have short strigs and are easily flicked off by holding the fruit, like this. Be careful not to pull the fruit, as all the apples in a cluster may come off. Thin to the agreed number of apples per 50 centimetres in singles, doubles or fat 3s. Where there are a lot of clusters, singles are best. Otherwise, leave 2s and only leave 3s where they are large and there are too few fruits near them. Coxes need colour, which they get from the light. Remove the underneath fruits first, as they will get less light. Bramley and other culinary apples. These varieties produce large apples for cooking. The trees are stronger and can carry a lot of fruit. The ripe fruit is green, so light is less important. Bramleys have a very short strig, so apples tend to be touching. Remove the apples by holding the fruit and flicking it, like this. Do not pull the fruits. Always aim to leave the biggest fruits unless they are misshapen, like this. The biggest apple in a cluster is the king fruit. Sometimes this is misshapen, like this, and must be removed. On stronger branches, thin to doubles. The apples will grow large, so the apples next to each other need to be spaced 15 centimetres, like this. Some apples will be much smaller on weaker wood, and these need to be thinned to singles. Pears. Pears are usually thinned later than apples and often need poor quality fruit removed as much as removing excessive numbers. Pears are removed by holding the stalk and snapping it with a flick like this. Do not pull the fruits, as this may damage the tree. Your supervisor will guide you as to the quality problems. These include pears that are the wrong shape, either straight or bent like this. Straight pears, like the one on the left, lack the bulbous head that the one on the right has. Straight pears will not reach the required minimum size and so must be removed. These pears have rough russet and should be removed. These pears have smooth russet and can be left on. Your supervisor will guide you. Clusters of fruit like these must be thinned down to doubles. Always remove poor quality pears first. Small pears on weak wood need to be thinned to singles, like this. You may have to thin older, larger pear trees like these. It is important to work systematically around the tree. Follow each branch from the trunk out, including each side branch. Plums. Plum trees can have an enormous number of fruits, and we only need single, well-spaced plums. When ripe, the plums will be this size. Where there are very many fruits, thin using two different techniques. First, use both hands to comb through, thinning out whole clusters, like this. Work from inside or underneath the branches, as these fruits will be more hidden at harvest time. Do this quickly to remove 80% of the excess fruits. Next, more carefully, thin what is left to leave single plums, properly spaced. Plums can be removed by flicking or pushing the stalk with the thumb, like this. Where the crop is lighter, you may only need to do the second stage. Always work systematically around the tree, taking each branch from the trunk out and down. Take particular care to check the inside of hanging branches. Plums hide, and a lot can be achieved by feel. Summary. Thinning fruit is not hard physical work and is a pleasant job to do. There are no shortcuts. Every tree has to be thoroughly thinned, branch by branch. Follow carefully the instructions from your supervisor. Learn to get the job right first, then work to get faster. Whether you are paid by the tree or by the hour, it is important to work quickly. Always use both hands fully and keep going. Get into a rhythm and flow so that you keep a constant speed. Thinning cannot be rushed. Some trees have less fruit and others have a lot. If a tree has very little fruit, it may not need any thinning, or perhaps just a few fruits removed. Always look to remove damaged, diseased and misshapen fruit first. Then reduce what is left to the correct amount. Thinning fruit is one of the most important jobs in the orchard. Take it seriously and remember that you are helping yourself. Good thinning leads to better picking.